thing Nathan Mercer noticed wasn't his wife's voice. It was the silence. The kind of silence that only exists inside a courtroom where every person believes someone's life is about to change forever. Outside, cold rain tapped softly against the courthouse windows. Inside, every chair was filled. Business reporters lined the back wall. Former employees whispered to each other. Even people who had never met Nathan somehow looked disappointed in him. That hurt more than he expected. Judge Rebecca Lawson adjusted her glasses. "Mrs. Mercer, you may continue." Evelyn stood gracefully. Her navy blue suit looked flawless. So did her smile. She didn't even glance toward Nathan. Instead, she looked directly at the judge. "Your Honor," she said calmly, "my husband wants everyone to believe he's the victim." She paused. "But the truth is much simpler." She slowly lifted a financial report. "He has nothing left." The words echoed across the courtroom. Several reporters immediately began typing. Nathan didn't react. He had spent the last 8 months learning something difficult. Sometimes defending yourself too early only strengthens a lie. Evelyn continued. "He made reckless investments. He ignored professional advice. He buried our company beneath bad decisions." She shook her head sadly. "And now he wants sympathy because everything disappeared." Even Nathan's own attorney shifted uncomfortably. The judge looked down at the financial exhibits. "Mr. Mercer," she asked quietly, "is there any dispute that these assets no longer exist?" Nathan looked toward the documents. Every page looked familiar. Every signature appeared to be his. Every number was devastating. "No," he answered carefully. "I dispute how they disappeared." A few people exchanged confused looks. Evelyn smiled. It wasn't a joyful smile. It was the smile of someone convinced the game had already ended. "Your Honor," she said, "my husband has spent months suggesting someone secretly stole millions of dollars." She laughed softly. Nathan didn't move. Neither did Evelyn. The only sound inside the courtroom was the steady tapping of rain against the tall windows. Judge Lawson slowly removed her reading glasses. "Mr. Brooks," she said carefully, "before this court allows any interruption, you need to explain why these documents weren't produced during discovery." Owen rested one hand on the gray archive box. "Because they didn't exist until last night." The courtroom erupted into whispers. Evelyn's attorney shot to his feet. "That's impossible." Owen looked at him without emotion. "No. It was impossible until one server that everyone believed had been destroyed suddenly came back online." Nathan frowned. "What server?" Owen finally turned toward him. "The off-site backup warehouse in Asheville." Nathan's eyes widened. "I thought it flooded years ago." "So did everyone else." A chill settled over the courtroom. Judge Lawson leaned forward. "Proceed." Owen carefully removed a thick binder. "This morning, at 3:17 a.m., our IT recovery team restored an archive database that had never been accessed since the company switched accounting systems." He opened the binder. "For nearly 3 years, every financial transfer inside Mercer Construction generated 2 records. The visible one and the original." Nathan stared in disbelief. "There were duplicates?" Owen nodded. "Someone created an invisible accounting layer." The judge interrupted. "Explain that in plain English." Owen walked toward the evidence screen. "If I transfer $1 million from Company A to Company B, everyone expects one transaction." He pressed a remote. 2 identical transfers appeared. But this system quietly created another transaction underneath the first. Gasps echoed across the room. It looked like money disappeared. It never did. The reporters began typing so fast their keyboards sounded like rain. Nathan felt his pulse racing. Timing. Encryption sequence. Every signature carries a digital fingerprint. He highlighted dozens of transactions. These signatures contain absolutely no variation. The courtroom fell silent again. "Which means," Judge Lawson asked, "they weren't created by a human." Nathan slowly stood. You mean they were generated automatically? Even Evelyn stopped smiling. Her attorney quickly whispered something into her ear. Nathan noticed. For the first time all morning, she looked uncertain. Only for a second. Then it vanished. Judge Lawson spoke carefully. Mr. Brooks, if these signatures weren't created by Mr. Mercer, who created them? Owen closed the binder. Not in anger. In realization. This had never been about one bad marriage. Someone had been quietly stealing control of his entire life. And if Evelyn wasn't acting alone, then someone much more powerful was still hiding in the shadows. Nathan didn't remember sitting back down. One moment he was standing in disbelief. The next, he found himself staring at the polished oak table in front of him, while the courtroom buzzed with voices that sounded miles away. Judge Rebecca Lawson finally broke the silence. I'm recessing this hearing for 30 minutes. She looked directly at both attorneys. And when we return, I expect answers, not speeches. The gavel struck. People flooded into the hallway. Reporters practically sprinted toward the exits, already calling their newsrooms. Nathan remained seated. He couldn't move. 23 years. 23 years of marriage. And somehow Evelyn had legally stripped away his authority without ever telling him. Owen quietly gathered his papers. Nathan. He looked up. Possible corporate fraud. Mercer Construction under scrutiny. Nathan hated every second of it. He had spent his entire career avoiding publicity. Now his private life had become public entertainment. His attorney, Claire Donnelly, finally caught up with him. There's something strange. Nathan sighed. I think we've already passed strange. She handed him her phone. I just received this. It was an anonymous email. No greeting, no signature. Just one sentence. Don't let Brooks open the 5th box. Nathan looked at Owen. You expecting anonymous threats today? Owen calmly replied, no. But whoever sent that just confirmed we're looking in the right place. Claire frowned. You think it's real? Owen smiled slightly. I think someone is terrified. Nathan looked across the courtroom toward Daniel's empty chair reserved for family members. Evelyn inhaled slowly. When I activated Nathan's temporary financial authority, Daniel told me it was necessary. Nathan stared. He said the banks required it. He said lenders wouldn't renew our credit lines otherwise. Nathan shook his head. You never told me. I was trying to protect you. He almost laughed. Protect me? You erased me. Her voice cracked for the first time. I didn't know he would keep renewing it. Silence. Nathan watched her carefully. For months he had believed Evelyn masterminded everything. Now he wasn't so sure. Maybe she had been manipulated too. Maybe. But before he could finish the thought, Owen quietly opened the 5th archive box. The same box mentioned in the anonymous email. My father hid it? I believe so. Judge Lawson nodded toward the court technician. Connect it. The technician inserted the drive into the courtroom computer. A single folder appeared. Foundation inside. One video file. Recorded 14 years earlier. Nathan stopped breathing. The thumbnail showed his father, alive, sitting behind the very desk where the flash drive had been hidden. The technician pressed play. The courtroom filled with the voice Nathan hadn't heard since the funeral. If you're watching this, something has gone terribly wrong. Nathan felt every hair on his arm stand up. His father's eyes looked directly into the camera. I built Mercer Construction with my own hands. But wealth changes people. If anyone ever tries to steal this company from inside the family, don't look outside first. He personally signed every employee's Christmas bonus. Nathan slowly opened the heavy book. Hundreds of handwritten signatures, dozens of yellowed pages. Nothing unusual. Until Owen carefully lifted the inside back cover. A thin envelope had been glued beneath it for more than 20 years. The courtroom gasped. Judge Lawson leaned forward. Bring that here. Nathan carefully removed the brittle envelope. Across the front, only 4 handwritten words. Open only in court. Nathan's hands trembled as he unfolded the papers. There were 3 documents. The first was a notarized ownership agreement. The second was an irrevocable employee trust. The third made the entire courtroom fall silent. It was a controlling voting agreement signed 14 years earlier. Nathan read it twice, then looked at Owen. And every December, the courtroom fell silent. For the first time, Nathan didn't see a villain. He saw someone who had spent years believing carefully manufactured lies. Judge Lawson returned 2 hours later with her ruling. The marriage is dissolved. She looked at Nathan. No hidden assets exist. She looked at Evelyn. The financial misconduct will be addressed separately by the appropriate authorities. She smiled slightly. The employee trust remains valid. Mercer Construction will continue under independent governance. The divorce shall not disrupt the livelihood of hundreds of employees. Nathan closed his eyes. That mattered more than anything. 3 months later, the reporters were gone. The lawsuits had ended. Mercer Construction survived. Not because Nathan fought harder, but because the truth lasted longer than deception. The board offered Nathan the position of executive chairman. He surprised everyone. He declined. Instead, he accepted a smaller role, mentoring young project managers. He spent more time teaching apprentices than attending meetings, exactly as his father once had. Evelyn accepted responsibility for the documents she signed. She avoided prison after cooperating fully with investigators, but permanently lost her CPA license and every executive position she once held. She wrote Nathan one final letter. It contained only one sentence. The worst lies are the ones we desperately want to believe. Nathan folded the letter without anger, without triumph, without revenge. Then he walked outside. The new apprentice training center stood across the street. Above its entrance, a bronze plaque carried his father's favorite words. A company isn't built with concrete and steel. It's built with trust. Nathan smiled. Not because he had won, because he had finally stopped trying to. Sometimes justice doesn't arrive with applause. Sometimes it arrives quietly. One document, one truth, one honest decision at a time. He looked up at the clear Carolina sky, took a slow breath, and walked toward the future. He never looked back. Moral lesson. Real wealth isn't measured by what you own. It's measured by the integrity you protect. Lies, greed, and manipulation may succeed for a season, but truth, patience, and character ultimately outlast every conspiracy.